Okay, our last but not least session, we have with us Dr. Nayyaf Aljabri. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Nayyaf, and the title of his presentation will be Maximizing Education and Training Evaluation Commission Impact, Leveraging Data in a Holistic Approach. Dr. Nayyaf is the General Manager of Research and Innovation. He has extensive academic, practical, and professional experience. He is currently the General Director of Research and Innovation at the Education and Training Evaluation Commission. Throughout his career, Dr. Nayyaf has held a number of positions, including Deputy Minister for Planning and Development and Deputy Minister for Education at the Ministry of Education, Dean of College of Education at Alsubaiee University. He has also led several developmental projects at the national level, both at Alsubaiee University and at the Ministry of Education. He was a member of several boards of directors in ministries and government agencies, and in boards of trustees and advisory boards of universities. Dr. Nayyaf received a PhD in economics of education from the University of Manchester, UK. His research interests included education economics and policies, and the application of quantitative methods to evaluate different alternatives on how to employ educational resources and improve cost effectiveness and performance of educational institutions. He published over 15 research papers and participated in a number of research projects nationally. Dr. Nayyaf taught over 10 courses at master's and PhD levels and discussed many academic theses, of which he supervised 20. Dr. Nayyaf.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Sattam. I'm so glad to be in front of you this afternoon as in this well-respected panel with His Excellency Dr. Tariq Al-Shiddi and Dr. Sattam Alsubaiee from the Saudi Commission for Data and Artificial Intelligence. I'm so prestigious to be with you. Dr. Sylvia Montoya from there, from Canada, Dr. Paulo Santiago from Paris, and Dr. Shwatlina Sabarwal from the United States. Please allow me, my colleague from outside the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and all of our all of the international audience to speak in Arabic language. It might be easy for me at the end of the session to speak in my mother tongue. فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته مرة أخرى والعرض سيكون عن توسيع.
Peace be upon you all. Again, my presentation will be about expanding the impact of our work and the holistic overview of dealing with the TVTC's work and data. Our work is not only about ETEC's work is not only about evaluation and assessment, but also the impact should be related to taking care of the data of evaluation, the reports, and the results of the data should be available for researchers so that every researcher will find it and tackle it from his own theoretical angle so that the impact will be wider and broader. We will be also speaking about data of ETEC and the strategy of ETEC in terms of data and how do we govern data, and the international and national partnerships, also enabling and empowering researchers and related parties. Also, we will speak about some of the dashboards that were provided and developed at ETEC so far. I may start speaking about what we mean by the comprehensive or holistic frame of data that should have three main things: a platform that contains the main basic abilities like the databases and the integration of data, the quality assurance of data, and the governance as well. Also, the second main component is the science of data and the analytical powers or capabilities, whether descriptive or forecasting or directive advanced abilities from the different angles of machine learning or other analytical empowerment. And at the end of the presentation, we will be speaking about some dashboards that will explain this. Another the third main important is how to present the information using AI technologies and the information boards and the visualization of data, whether advanced or simple. And this shape or this figure sums up our idea. We have the three main components: the platform, of data, the science of data, the presentation of data, and we will have the main components of every one of them and how we tackle this situation in our platform. In our platform of data, we have the uh, decisions that we work on, and also in terms of the data science, we work on the tactic decisions that we can learn a lesson from in order to pave the way for the leaders of education in different levels to benefit from these data in order to improve their educational processes. And also in the data presentation component, we benefit from AI and integration of data, and we present data in different uh, options and alternatives, and this will lead us to different strategic decisions on the national level in terms of the evaluation of training and education data. Also, we can here stop for a moment and speak about some things what that was said about the importance of data. It is no secret that data is very important with what we are witnessing in the whole world now. For example, the UNESCO said that data of learning data, when connected to other things like social context, learning and education environment, and the features of learner, may help disclose the different factors that impact the outcomes. And as Dr. Paulo Santiago said, he uncovered some of these things and the work of OECD and what they have provided, and also Dr. Silvia Montoya and Dr. Paulo also mentioned a lot of these things. This is a good idea for evidence-based change in order to have the data and in order to do our best to find the evidence. Data will help us achieve that evidence, especially if we have measurement for the inputs and the outputs, and if data is distinguished by being practical or experiential, not only just theoretical or general data. So the experience should be natural and normal. Also, other things, Audrey Waters said that analyzing these data is an integral tool that we need in order to enhance the learning outcomes. These are also some of the different uses for data: to measure the outputs of training and education, to conform or to meet the needs of the labor market, also to achieve the competencies and to study the impactful factors in the training and education system in general, and to pave the way for improving and bridge the gaps in the future. Some of the gaps are related, as mentioned by the World Bank presentation a while ago. Also, this is our diagnosis for the current situation in ETEC's data scene. We have in the middle the internal sources of ETEC, because we have four main centers that do or perform the data collection. We have the National Center for Measurement, National Center for uh, Evaluation and School Excellence. We have the National Center for Academic Accreditation. We have also the National Center for Training, Accreditation, and Evaluation. Also, on the other side, we have data that we collect from different ministries, like the Ministry of Education, the TVTC, the Human Resources Developmental Fund from the Ministry of Human Resources, and other measures of the impact of education on the different levels. Also, the Saudi Authority for Data and Artificial Intelligence, the National Statistics Authority in Saudi Arabia. In addition to partnerships with international organizations, we have also, like OECD, we have partnerships to build databases, but we have other partnerships with other organizations that work on international studies and international research, which is an important source to meet their needs in terms of data, and we are building our stores of data in our ETEC facilities. Also, analyzing the most important beneficials of our data, we have governmental entities, the board of directors, we have the different directories of ethics, we have the governmental entities, we have the training and education service providers on different levels, on the national level, on the level of the Ministry of Education, on the level of TVTC, on different levels of other agencies, also on the level of the on the tactic level of educational directories or schools, and we also have the international organizations and the research centers, as well as the researchers themselves and the research groups. We provide them with the data that they want, and this will be improved even much more in the future. Also, students, trainees, and they are provided with a profile of data. They can review the things that relate to them. Also, parents, which is an important segment of our beneficiaries. And also, we have the bigger society in general when we publish the information or the data of evaluation in order to guide the decisions for the social or family or institutional levels. So our vision and ETEC is to provide screens of data that are updated, holistic, and precise, reports that have the same qualities. Also, we have the same qualities in our unified standard data. Also, advanced and basic analytical results. We have international benchmarks and comparisons that are up to date and reliable, also providing analytical tools that will be basic and advanced. On the margin of this conference, there were more than 20 training workshops that were held, training the beneficiaries on the data of ethics and how to use them. And there were a lot of researchers who attended from in and out of the kingdom. This is about our strategy in TV in ETEC, which is accredited by the board of directors of ETEC, and it confirms clearly that in the fourth strategic goal that it is important to have data and to have the main steps to work on data, and based on that we will develop our frame of data in ETEC. And generally speaking, when we speak about these different steps, the process starts with collecting data and analyzing them, and uh, also formulating the stores department, then analyzing basic analysis, then the design of standards and methodologies. After that, the machine learning and AI, which is the advanced analytic. After that, presenting and publishing the results. After that, we make available the data that are open source and can be accessed by researchers, or even some of the restricted data in order to be controlled and can be available for specific researchers or specific sectors or governmental entities other than TVTC. This happens under control and governance and improvement of quality, and also in terms of training and knowledge transfer in both inside and outside ETEC facilities, related to training our staff and training researchers and beneficiaries of our data, whether individual researchers or in institutions or organizations. In terms of the governance of the data and the access to data, we will commit to what is accredited by or approved by our cybersecurity authority. We have different levels of data. We have private data for the users, which clarify the identity of individuals. These are considered only related to that specific related person. After that, we have the level of data that has restricted access, only available for governmental or semi-governmental or legal personality agencies. Also, we have data that will be shared with society directly with the agencies or governmental agencies or society as a whole to help them do their work. Also, we have open source data that does not have any private information about individuals or the work of institutions in different sectors. So there is no harm of sharing this data with researchers and others. Some of them will be like KPIs and reports that will be used in the boards of information. Some of them will be scheduled, some of them may be detailed on the minor level in order to be beneficial for the researchers of different organizations that need to do research in these fields. Also, this is a glimpse of those who are working with our partners, Ministry of Education, TVTC, the Expenditure Efficiency Achievement Office, OECD, also the ETEC partnership with them in order to expand the impact of ETEC work. The National Authority of Statistics, we benefit from their work and they benefit from ours as well in different reports that we issue. And also in terms of choosing the samples, the National Center for measuring the performance of governmental bodies, the Saudi Data Authority and the Saudi Observatory of Work and the Saudi Intellectual Property Authority in terms of patents for the employees of the higher education facilities and institutions. Now we'll move to the part before the last one, which is related to the strategies that we're working on because we think it is a strong and a direct tool that will help us expand our work and the impact of our work and will help us find the science evidence that will enable us to build our policies upon. Also, the evaluation data for us are considered high quality or high impactful data because they are based on natural or normal actual experiences. When I say actual or normal experiences, when students go through a specific test on a broad level in Saudi Arabia, it is natural because students have already done this test. So we will have two measures for the outputs and measures for the inputs and the processes, and this will enable us do these advanced analytical processes. And at the end of the day, the data will be actual because no one will affect the distribution of the students, and these will be high level of reliability, and they will be also presentable, length, and also important. Also, ETEC works well on the topic of research, and that started years ago. Some of the research that we have done is related to developing the mechanisms of measurement, assessment, and evaluation, also developing the processes of evaluation. There are other works of research related to the educational process itself, what's going on inside this classroom, inside schools, inside facilities, also related to educational policies. Also, there are services related to providing data, raw data, to for the researchers, also artificial intelligence and AI basic analytical tools that will be provided to the researchers, and researchers will be helped in terms of how to work and how to start working on the precise data. And this is through providing a platform for discovering or exploring data. Here, for example, we find research work that was published since 2012 to 2020, 45 research papers that are governed and controlled, based on half of them was published in maybe upper tier kinds of magazines or scientific magazines around the world. These methodological research was based on the reports or data of ETEC. we have more than 300 research works based on our data through the recent years. These are some examples of the reports that we have issued. We have a list of 10 reports. Some of them are here now. For example, how are they categorized on the dashboard so that researchers and or beneficiaries can view them as they are on the board of KPIs or PIs, and so, they will find what they want in terms of these data. For example, the status of education report, the first version was in 2019. We have here, for example, the index 22-18. This is for the number of population and the population of between 18 to 22 years old, males and females, the number of higher education students, the males were, for example, 66.7% in 2016, while females were 66.5. In 2018, we have different levels. Uh, Females are 68.9% and males are 66.4%, which is a high level of enrollment for public education in Saudi Arabia. This is an example of the reports indexes that we have about the current situation of education in Saudi Arabia. Here we have another example, which is related to the competencies of teachers test. There was in 2018, we have some kind of lowering in the numbers compared to 2016 because teachers have different disciplines, we have different kinds of these tests. This is, for example, the acceptance index of the performance of data in the achievement tests and the competencies test in after high school, and the performance of each school. If there are enough number of students in a school, it will be considered in this index. Here, for example, in Riyadh, the best schools in Riyadh in different years, and uh, we can find data that about private schools or public schools or all of them, uh, male students, female students. We have different options of presentation of data. Here, for example, we can choose the map of the cities, different regions and cities of Saudi Arabia. We can zoom in and out and find the different indexes of different schools of different regions. If parents, for example, want to go to a specific city, or at the beginning of the year, if the parent wants to find a good school for his uh, children, he can find the different data that will help them do that. So these are helpful tools that will enable uh, on different levels, and this is very helpful for parents. And on different levels, they help the leaders of the schools. Also, they help the leaders of the Ministry of Education. This is another example of dashboards to publish the results of the school's evaluation process that was started by ETEC through Excellence Center for more than 700 schools to measure their performance in general according to the standards. And this is a specification of the different levels of schools, and uh, we can choose using the field, using the region, using the geographical region, the type of school. These different options are available for beneficiaries to easily navigate data according to their own goals and expectations. They will find these tools very helpful. Also, another example related to the level of performance for students in the national tests, which is the national evaluation or assessment of the test results for science and maths. For example, we have here categorization of the different results of students, and we can see here or notice that uh, female students, for example, are better uh, in terms of results compared to male students. Here, for example, we have an example of an advanced analytics. This is about the performance of Saudi Arabia students in PISA 2019 and their distribution according to the different levels of performance. And here, if we want to compare Saudi Arabia's students to others in terms of the difference between girls and boys' performance in Saudi Arabia compared to OECD countries. Here, Saudi Arabia, if you notice, is we have a huge difference between males and females. All over the world, boys do better in maths more than girls, but in Saudi Arabia, it's the opposite. And here we find an indication. As I mentioned before, we have different analytical processes. This is an indication that connects the different economic ideas and the performance of our country on an average in PISA exams, for example. If we have this line in the middle, we found Saudi Arabia is considered like a negative residual, as if we would say that Saudi Arabia's students do not do or perform well as expected according to our economic expectations. That this will be an important index that Saudi Arabia does not perform well in PISA compared to our expenditure in education and our social status. Thank you very much for listening, and sorry for speaking too long.
It's very entertaining to see the Saudi experience when it comes to the evaluation of education.